Just a terrific overall night for the hockey club, and one that I think, I'm only one small voice, but I think might have been their most impressive effort of the season, and hear me out on that. Good morning to you. Good Monday morning. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports. This is Daily Shot of Penguins. It comes your way bright and early every weekday if you're into football and or baseball. I also offer daily shots of Steelers and Pirates in the same place that you found this. Penguins 3, Islanders 2. The score's not gonna wow you. The caliber of the opponent's certainly not going to wow you. The Islanders are kind of right there with the Penguins, just a couple points back, a little bit below 500. Disappointing enough in their own eyes that they'd been getting blistered on Long Island, pretty much everything about them. That said, for as much as there was to love about this whole evening, Sidney Crosby passing Mario Lemieux for the franchise's all-time lead in assists and getting moved by it the way he actually was. Big goal and arguably bigger assist for Michael Bunting. How about Nate Klurman making his NHL debut and being part of a group that performed really well despite missing half of their starters? 3 out of 6 defensemen were out, including Chris Letang, a new one to pop up. Alex Nedeljkovic played really well, I thought. 29 saves on 31 shots, but made all the big saves when needed, gave up a couple of goals at 6-on-5, and both of those on violent redirects. But what I'm talking about here is just the general way that they played. You could see, and this goes double if you were one of the 18,500 who bought up all of the tickets for the game. What a crowd that was, too, incidentally, last night. You could see from the first shift that the Penguins were really moving. I mean, all 4 lines, they had their feet going. The night after playing this same opponent in New York, they had everything going. Everybody was churning. Everybody was forechecking. Everybody was gaining the zone. When they weren't easily, they were sending it in deep. There was chip and chase. There were guys going to the net. There were guys going to the net off the rush. That happened a half dozen times by my count in the first period alone, which got me to thinking about how Mike Sullivan's been mentioning time and again of late the term straight ahead. It's not something that had been part of his lexicon until this season. So I aimed afterward in the locker room, first and foremost, to find out what that was supposed to mean, and I went to a player who performed as well as anyone on either side in terms of advanced analytics, and that was Cody Glass.
Yeah, I think especially in these types of games where you're going against a defensive-minded team where they step up, they have really good D-core, and they can make you pay on transition. I think just putting it behind them before checking them, just making it super easy on ourselves, and we got away from that last game. And I felt like we did a really good job today of just making it easy. We chased down pucks, turned it over, and low to high. We made it very easy, and it's almost simple as that. And so we did a good job of it today.
Independent of the Islanders, is this the way you guys need to play?
100%. I felt like we did a really good job. Obviously, they had 2 6-on-5 goals, but 5-on-5, I thought we did a really good job of limiting their chances.
Independent of them, is this the way you need to play on a regular basis, Cody?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
I think it was a lot of fun to play. I think we all enjoyed how hard we played defensively, and we just got to make it easy on ourselves.
You used your legs too.
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Unless I'm missing something here. There was a lot of slashing, there was a lot of diagonal, and there was a lot of forward.
We're a quick team, and we want to make it hard on each other, or not each other, but hard on their defensive core, and put pressure on them hard. And I felt like we did a really good job of that today.
Now, I later had a conversation with Sullivan about this, and it was essentially an echo of what you just heard. That's the extent to which the players appear to have bought into this. Now, this is not the way the Penguins have played for a long, long time. And I just mean conceptually. I don't even mean in terms of execution. I mean just thinking like this. This is a team that when it sees something it doesn't like, it kind of retreats, or it goes laterally, or it spins away, or it pulls up, and it does some passive or soft thing. That never happened in this game. Not one shift. That's not to say the Islanders didn't have their occasional pushes, but the Penguins never lost, not for one shift, to repeat myself, that on your toes thing that they're always talking about. It always felt like they were either the aggressor with possession or they were the aggressor in weight. And that's largely because when they got the puck, they were doing straight ahead things with it. They took shots they wouldn't normally take. They took long range shots they wouldn't normally take. They dumped it in, which they would almost never do. And they made a lot of things happen, even from situations that normally would give you nothing. On top of everything else, they seemed to have the Islanders genuinely irritated, as opposed to the other way around, which it's only been for about 40 years between these two franchises. And that unto itself was neat to watch. Michael Bunting, talk about just a great acquisition, by the way, by Kyle Dubas. I'll get on him for some stuff, but man, just having Bunting seemingly as a throw-in in the Jake Gensel deal is wow. Anyway, Bunting had half of the Islanders chasing him around by the time one period was done. Why? Because he just kept playing in a straight line. He kept finishing all of his skating lines near the New York crease. Brian Rust was doing some of that. Ricard Raquel was doing some of that. And all of that collectively, cumulatively, has an impact over the course of a hockey game. I have no earthly idea if they can continue this. I don't even know if they'll keep it up tomorrow night in Detroit. I really don't. So I'm not about to set any sort of expectations in this regard. But that, my friends, that performance last night, that was how they actually need to be playing, regardless of the opponent. When we come back, J1Q. This episode is brought to you by Bet Online, your number one source for all your summer sports needs this season, from Major League Baseball, golf, NHL, NBA playoffs. Get the latest odds and lines, including all team matchups, player props, odds on just about everything that's out there. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to get in on the action. Bet Online, where the game starts.
Abandoned ship, Bob. Sell the team. Are you a Pirates fan who is angry or apathetic about our perennial losing baseball team? Do you feel helpless because you don't know how to make a difference? Well, good news. We have something you can do about it. Join our Sell the Team movement. We're a group of passionate fans voicing our frustration and demanding change through billboard campaigns, press outreach, protests, and involvement at local city government meetings. Go to OurTeamNotHis.com to get involved.
Today's J1Q comes from Josh on our Blue Sky account and asks, DK, did Jesse Puljujarvi give Mike Sullivan bad financial advice or something? And I've got to say that Josh was far from the only one to submit something in this spirit. A lot of them came, I was watching them, in my direction shortly after the lineups were announced for the game. The Puljujarvi thing is starting to get ridiculous, really, but I have a couple of things to say about it. I do think that it's a fair subject to bring up. I've made clear my stance on Puljujarvi. I just don't see how you can go through, a training camp and a preseason and even parts of the regular season as your team's best forward, then all of a sudden, just be paid to sit in the press box while clearly inferior players are suiting up. Now, the answer as to why this happens isn't an easy one for Sullivan to say out loud. In the olden days, whenever there were enforcers and the like, coaches used to find all kinds of code words for why they would dress this guy or that guy, and they would say, so that we can maintain a physical presence or whatever, when all those guys were there for was to fight. Well, the modern version of that is to kind of tiptoe or tap dance around talking about blocking shots. The reality is Noel Acciari and Matt Nieto are not just on the roster, but in the lineup because they're willing to stand in front of shots. Because if they come through with 3 or 4 blocked shots, and sometimes it doesn't even have to be an actual blocked shot, sometimes it can just be their willingness to line up in front of a shot that forces the shooter to move or maybe take a shot that they didn't want to take. All of that stuff gets tracked internally, and all of that stuff, according to the Penguins, reflects really well on those guys. Also, and related, I don't care much. I don't care much for shot suppression at the forward level. And maybe that's a dated view based, again, on analytics. But I still happen to cling to the belief that any shot that's coming at you from whatever that would be, 50, 60 feet, should be a stoppable shot. And if you want to make sure that those types of shots aren't getting in there and getting deflected, then do other things to disrupt the deflectors, come a little lower. I don't think that's worth having those guys out there if they can't contribute really anything at the far end. We're all talking about Puljujärvi, and understandably, but don't forget that Kevin Hayes is getting scratched all this time too. This guy's not a bad hockey player. He has a style that can make him unpopular with people whenever things aren't going his way because he's not fast, and actually he doesn't really move all that much. He does more from a standstill than probably any player in the NHL, and I said that about him before he got to Pittsburgh. But he also is a high IQ guy who can score, who can create, and who, by the way, can win you some draws. These 2 shot blocker guys, no. So don't overthink this, Josh. This isn't about some sort of teacher's pet thing or doghouse thing or whatever. He wants shot blockers. He wants people to eat pucks. I appreciate the question. I appreciate everybody listening to Daily Shot of Penguins. We'll do another one of these tomorrow when I'll be up in Detroit covering the Penguins' visit to face the Red Wings.